boys, welcome back to another video, this time on the More JDT channel. Yes sir, and by the title of the video, by the thumbnail, you know what it is. It is my annual mock draft, this time for the 2023 draft class. Now, you're probably wondering, this is not on my main channel. Every time I've done this, it's been on my main channel. It's been on Mr. JDT, it's been on OPT, whatever I call myself. It's been on that channel.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry.
We're going to get right to the draft. No trades in this mock draft. Just what I think is going to happen in the draft. And the reason why I'm doing this, let me just tell you when I'm recording this video. Okay? I'm recording this video on March 29th. It's a Wednesday today. The draft is not until April 27th, April 28th. Why am I doing this so early? I'm leaving. I'm going to Europe on Monday. This coming Monday. You might see this video a couple days before the draft, but I've recorded this a month before the draft. Okay? So if I get anything wrong, that's my excuse. I don't have enough time to do this stuff. I have my notes down here on some players. I have my picks down here on some players. We'll put it onto the board as you see on the screen right here. Whatever player I say, they will go to there, and we go from there. Now, I'm not getting all this right. I did this notes and these draft picks a long time ago, but I still think they kind of correlate to what I got today. Let's start the draft. Resume draft, please. Thank you. With the first pick via the Chicago Bears, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting quarterback Bryce Young from Alabama. This could go either way. They could go CJ Stroud here. I could definitely see that happening, but I definitely got them taking a QB for sure in Bryce Young. Let me tell you why. Young is definitely the safest pick in the draft, and especially for the QB position. He's very good in the pocket and can make stuff happen on the ground. If he has to, Young is the smartest QB by far, and definitely the most developed, and I definitely think that's what Carolina needs, kind of bringing back the prime Cam Newton era. Now, we all know what happened with prime Cam. Superman Cam was in Carolina. Super Bowl. They lost, but it doesn't matter. They made it there. I think you bring in Bryce Young, you kind of repeat that, but I think Bryce Young is a better QB coming out of college than Cam Newton was. Cam Newton was great, but Cam Newton, when he got to the NFL, they kind of simplified it for him. They made him only read one side of the ball. I think Bryce Young can read the whole field. Give him some time, give him some encouragement and some coaching, and you got yourself a hell of a quarterback. Bryce Young. Bring him to Carolina. I think you win your division if you get him. Or CJ Stroud. I think both players are really good. But moving on. At number 2, I have the Houston Texans selecting quarterback CJ Stroud from Ohio State. Put him in there with Houston. Houston, you ain't got a problem with this pick. I know I keep making it joke, but you don't. You don't. And let me tell you why you don't. Let's be honest. Houston definitely needs a QB, and if it's not Bryce Young, then I definitely can see them going to CJ. He was definitely a huge reason why Ohio State went far this last year. He makes everything look so effortless in his game with Houston. Finally getting a QB that they can build around. Gathering all these weapons during the offseason makes a lot more sense. Obviously, they got Dalton Schultz, they got Devin Singletary, and a few more players as well. CJ Stroud comes in from Ohio State to play QB. You help him out with that offense already. You already got a good offense for the guy. Now, there you go. Put him in there, put him at QB. I think the 1 and 2 can definitely flip-flop. I think if Carolina takes CJ Stroud, Bryce Young goes to Houston. I think Houston's totally okay taking Stroud or Young. I don't think they really have an opinion. I think they'd rather have one guy over the other. Obviously, every team does, but I think they get a good player regardless. So Houston's actually in a very prime spot at number 2. I won't lie to you. I think Houston's got a better spot at number 2 than Carolina has spot at number 1, because Carolina's got to make the 50-50 decision. Houston just gets stick with what they got, and I think they get a good player regardless of who they go with. So, Houston, there you go. Moving on. Number 3 of the Arizona Cardinals selecting edge, Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama. Yes, I think the best edge rusher in the draft, one of the best defensive linemen in the draft, and I'll tell you why Arizona should go with him. With Arizona losing Zach Allen and J.J. Watt, I definitely can see them choosing the best edge rusher in this draft, Will Anderson Jr. I know Carter would still be on the board, but considering the off-the-field issues, I see Arizona going with the safer choice. Because let's be honest, Anderson isn't a player you want to pass up on. And like I said, you don't want to pass up on Anderson. I think he's definitely a great player. I think he's one of the most polished players coming out of the draft. I think he's done very well. And yeah, you grab him in Arizona. Like I said, you lose Allen, you lose Watt, you take Will Anderson, and you put him with the defense. I think that's a hell of a pickup for Arizona to take this MLC. Moving on. At number 4, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting quarterback Anthony Richardson from Florida. Pair him up right there. Put him in that sweet pocket right there, Florida, for the Colts. And yeah, I think actually one of the most exciting players. I think actually the most underrated QB in the draft. I think if the Colts get him, that'd be great. Let me tell you why I think so. It's no secret that the Colts have been unlucky in the QB category ever since Andrew Luck retired, with Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, and Matt Ryan all failing to push them over the hump. And now they signed Gardner Minshew, which is definitely going to help them in the locker room, and he's a very decent QB. But they need a long-term quarterback to build around, and Anthony Richardson is that guy. He's got all the hype behind him, and I think he's one of the most exciting players to watch coming out of this draft. And I stand by that. I will always stand by that. Even from a month from now, I think Anthony Richardson is probably going to be the most exciting player to watch coming out of this draft, where he goes. And I think Indianapolis, you grab him. Good choice. Moving on. At number 5, I have the Seattle Seahawks via the Denver Broncos selected defensive lineman Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Top of the list right here. Seattle number 5. And I think it's a great pick. I did say off the field issues earlier, but let me tell you why I think he still goes to Seattle. In my opinion, Carter's the best D lineman in the draft. However, off-the-field issues could hold him back. But I think Seattle is more than happy to take this chance and take Jalen Carter at number 5. And with the help from Pete Carroll, he's going to be even more of a dominant player. If Seattle passes up on Carter, if he makes it to them, I personally think it's a huge loss. And I will always stick by that. Now, even with the off-the-field issues that Carter showed, he's shown that on the field, he's got no issues. He's a very good player. And I think if Seattle somehow gets him at number 5, very good. I think Seattle's sitting a nice pick because they don't need a QB. They have Geno, he wrote, but they wrote him off, but he ain't ever right back though. You know what I'm saying? I think they already have a quarterback. So with 3 teams I have here taking a QB, and Arizona most likely going with Will Anderson. Hell, even if Cardinals go with Jalen Carter, Seattle goes with Will Anderson. I think Seattle's sitting in a very pretty spot, number 5. Moving on. At number 6, at the Detroit Lions via the LA Rams, selecting cornerback Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Yes, sir. I think the best corner in the draft is Devin Witherspoon. And I think Detroit grabs him. Huge player. Huge steal. I'm going to tell you why. I don't see Detroit passing up on a CB here. With a choice between Witherspoon and Gonzalez, it just comes down to preferences. And my key difference is that Witherspoon is a more polished player and a lot more physical. You can also send him in a blitz as well, as this guy simply just doesn't get beat. With this pick, Detroit is definitely set up for success. Like I said, I think Witherspoon, he didn't go to the combine. Now, timeout. For future references here in this video, there's a lot of combine stuff I'm going to be going through. Some of my notes have a lot of combine stuff because GMs and NFL teams look at combine and it's a huge thing. My personal opinion, I think the combine's a bunch of crap, no offense, but I think it is. I don't think it shows anything you can do on the field. I don't think it shows a little bit, but not to the point if you actually put something in the game perspective, in a game time, situation. However, a lot of stuff is going to be combine based because that's how GMs look at it. Now, Witherspoon did not go to the combine, as I said, but he's proven everything he's already proven on the field and when he plays. Aggressive, hell of a player, doesn't get beat. 3 things, all you need. Detroit, take Witherspoon, hell of a player, hell of a player. Let's move on. At number 7, I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting edge, Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. I know he goes off the board now. Tell Vegas, baby. Start gambling. You get your first pick at roulette table. You know what I'm saying? Not done actually do that, but great player. Let me tell you why. I think it's going to be good. I've been thinking Wilson and pairing him up with Max Crosby would be a huge steal for the Raiders in the draft. They didn't get much from Chandler Jones, so I think grabbing a younger player with phenomenal talent would be a great pickup. Not much on my notes on Tyree Wilson, and that's just because people kind of already know about him and how he plays, and he's really good. Really good. You take him to Vegas, you put him on the defensive side of things. Yeah, you can use some offensive weapons for Jimmy Garoppolo, and obviously you shipped off Darren Waller to New York. F you, Raiders. Thanks for that one. Tyree Wilson, again with Max Crosby, very good. Tyree Wilson's a long-term player, and I think he'll fit the Raiders scheme very well, and he'll give them a lot to be happy about and to look forward to. Moving on, number 8, I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting cornerback Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. Right over here, set yourself up in Atlanta, my guy. I can see him in an Atlanta uniform. Don't tell me you can't. I can. I think he looked good in an Atlanta uniform, and I'll tell you why. I can see Witherspoon falling here and Gonzalez going to Detroit, but like I said, it's just preference at this point because Gonzalez went to the combine and Witherspoon didn't. But while Gonzalez was at the combine, he put up crazy numbers, proving that he's not only good in game situations but in drills as well. I think Atlanta would be a great home for him. I stand by that. Now, like I said, Witherspoon's more of a polished player, and personally I would choose him over Gonzalez. However, Gonzalez, you don't lose with him either. I mean, he maybe needs a little bit more work, but doesn't everybody in the freaking draft? Yeah, even Witherspoon's gonna need some work. Gonzalez, very good player. Atlanta would be very lucky to have him to pick him up in the draft. Moving on, at number 9, I have the Chicago Bears via the Carolina Panthers, selecting offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. Put yourself in Chicago, my friend. You're going with Justin Fields, and I'll tell you why. One of the two really good offensive tackles in this draft. I think Johnson just fits Chicago a bit more coming out of Ohio State. I think they'll want to put him back with Justin Fields and give him that chemistry and protection in the pocket, as that was a pretty big problem for Chicago. It's no secret that we saw Justin Fields have to scramble out of the back pocket so many times, and even though he made some memorable plays with it, I don't think he wants to do that all game long and get hurt from it. So Paris Johnson, put him in the tackle position, and I think it'll be a really good fit for Chicago. Moving on, at number 10, I have the Philadelphia Eagles via the New Orleans Saints, selecting running back Bijan Robinson from Texas. Yep, there's the running back. Now, a lot of people don't have him this early on the board. People got him to the Cowboys or somewhere else, but I got him at number 10 to the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. By far the best running back in the draft and one of the best players in the draft, Robinson will definitely help out that Eagles offense, especially after losing Miles Sanders. I can see the Eagles going to defense here, but in reality, you just don't pass up on a player like this. Bijan Robinson is probably going to be the most acceptable player to choose from as a running back. People are going to be like, oh, you chose Robinson if he's a running back, but I understand the choice because he's really good. Like I said, you lost Miles Sanders. Yeah, you replaced them, but did you really? Did you really? Now, as a Cowboy fan, I hope I get this pick wrong. I don't want Robinson going to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia doesn't usually do things like this. However, I think it'd be kind of dumb not to. I think you get a really good player. Now, I know you lost the defensive players, but you have a pick later on in the draft, and I think you can definitely get a really high talent defensive player in the back of the draft instead of waiting for Bijan Robinson to fall back in the draft. I think you should take him now. Just make sure you get that player, and then you can focus on defensive players in the back. But what do I know? I'm just mock drafting this thing up, right? Moving on. At number 11, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. Not me for how I pronounce that name. I pronounced it right. It is a hard name to freaking pronounce. It's a dangerous name to pronounce. Good luck to the person who's going to announce it. Good luck to Roger Goodell who's going to announce it on the night. But let me tell you why the Titans should go receiver at number 11. The best wide receiver in the draft class, and Tennessee definitely needs a wide receiver, especially after last year not being able to do much in the passing game. Jackson helped Ohio State out a lot last year, and I think he can definitely do the same thing that Tennessee offense in a massive way, giving Derrick Henry a better chance on the ground and even some play action. He loves working in the middle, and he's a route runner at heart. He will definitely make huge plays from the slot, and he will. I think slot player for Tennessee would be huge for the Titans. And Jackson Smith, very good player, very good player. I think he's the best receiver in the draft, in my opinion. And that's why I got him going number 11 to Tennessee. I'll never forgive Tennessee for giving A.J. Brown to the Eagles. However, I think you can try to make up for it and get a receiver. Yeah. Moving on. With number 12, I have the Houston Texans via the Cleveland Browns, selecting edge Myles Murphy out of Clemson. Yes. Myles Murphy, huge player for Clemson, and I think Houston, get your QB, help out the defensive side of things. Let me tell you why I think that. With Houston going with a QB in the first pick they have in the round and grabbing all these offensive weapons that they can use, they need to hit and go look in the defensive side of things, especially at the edge position. I think one of the best players to do that with is Myles Murphy from Clemson. He has tremendous speed and agility and will definitely cause a lot of problems for other offenses, and will only develop more as time goes on. And he will. I saw some of his tape in Clemson. Very good player. And I think Houston gets a steal of Myles Murphy. There's some players I did extra research on other than others. There's some players I already knew about. And there's just some teams I wanted to delve into more. Like Houston was one of the teams I was like, let me see what direction they can go with. And Myles Murphy would definitely be an easy pick for me to see Houston going with number 12. And I think if they get Stroud or Young, and then they end up getting Myles Murphy here at number 12, I think that first round is a steal, and I think they'd had one of the best drafts already in 2015. Moving on, at number 13, I have the New York Jets selecting offensive tackle Peter Skrnowski from Northwestern. Get yourself in there, big dog. Another old lineman off the board. Some may make the case that he should go and be the first offensive lineman on the board, but let me tell you why I got him here, and let me tell you why I think the better fit for the New York Jets. I almost said Giants. Jets. Let's face it, the Jets, their offensive struggles was pretty bad, to put it nicely, especially with a lot of defensive players getting in the backfield to their QBs. And if the Jets are going to bring in Aaron Rodgers to the facility, they need to get some protection. And one of the best O-linemen in the draft to do it is Peter Skrnowski. O-linemen are hard to come by in the draft, so if the Jets can do it here, it'll be a hell of a pickup. And this guy's got everything in his arsenal to be a great player. When I mean everything, I mean everything. Run block, pass block. The guy is very good. Also, he's pretty smart. Like I said, I watched some of his. I play offensive lineman myself. I saw some of his highlights, and very good player. I actually see him going instead of Paris Johnson, but I just think he's a better fit for Chicago. Chicago's got that pick. That's why I got him falling down number 13. I think you got him as a lineman, you got him here. If the Jets pass up on him, I got New England taking him. If the Jets take him, this is why I got New England taking. Moving on, number 14 I have the New England Patriots selecting offensive tackle Broderick Jones from Georgia. So, like I said, if Peter Skrnowski's still on the board, he goes to New England. If he's not, Broderick Jones to New England. And let me go further with my notes. With one of New England's top needs being an offensive tackle and O-lineman getting thinner and thinner in the draft, I can easily see the Patriots taking Broderick Jones from Georgia, number 14. The quarterback is Mac Jones. Why not get a Jones to protect him? Jones might not be the best offensive lineman in the draft, but it's definitely a safe pick, especially at this point. Now, a little of a shot there for me saying he's not the best offensive lineman in the draft. He's not. I think Johnson or Skrnowski is the best offensive lineman in the draft. But Broderick Jones is definitely a close third, fourth, top five for sure, 100%. And I can see Bill Belichick hitting this one at 14. It's kind of like a Bill Belichick move. Go offensive lineman, taking number 14, Broderick Jones, to protect Mac Jones. You know, makes sense. Jones protecting Jones. You know, I like that. And I can see the announcers making jokes about that. So it makes sense. Number 14, give me Broderick Jones. He's also a very decent player, and like I said, he will definitely develop, especially with Bill Belichick as his head coach. Moving on. Number 15, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting edge Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. The Packers, now I know, it's crazy, right? Because Aaron Rodgers is leaving, most likely. Almost 100%. And, you know, the Packers are going to have another quarterback between Favre and Rodgers. After all these years, now they're going to have Jordan Love. I'm not saying Jordan Love is going to do anything special to push the Packers where they want to be, win them the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. They probably won't. But they do need help on the defensive side. Let me tell you why. I definitely think that Lucas Van Ness could go earlier in the draft. However, if he does fall to number 15 to the Packers, I definitely think Green Bay should take him, especially because they need somebody on the defensive side of things on that line. I can also see the Packers taking a receiver, but let's be honest, they are not known for doing that in the first round. I think they stick to their tradition and end up grabbing an edge instead. Yeah, mainly it just comes down to Packers usually not taking a receiver for Aaron Rodgers, so why would they take one for Jordan Love? Moving on, at number 16, I have the Washington Commanders selecting tight end Dalton Kincaid from Utah. Now, Kincaid is a little bit down here. There he is. Look at him from Utah right there. For the Washington Commies. Move down the draft board a little right there. Dalton Kincaid for Washington. And not much I really have to say other than my notes, so let me tell you why I got him. I have the first tight end coming off the board and going to Washington. Washington was already looking to get Dalton Schultz, and they couldn't get him. So might as well go with another Dalton in Dalton Kincaid. He's a really fun player to watch. He can create separation, and he's really good at catching in traffic. I think Washington will have a hell of a pickup and a good weapon for the offense. Now, I will not lie to you. I totally forget who the quarterback for Washington is. And it's like, he's there. Sam Howell. Sam Howell, right? That's the QB right now, I think. I don't know. Regardless what the QB situation is right now. And Washington could draft a quarterback. You go tight end. You need another playmaker. You kind of need like that reliable player. Washington didn't really have that last year or in the last couple of years. You need a reliable player. Someone that you can just have in an in route or something, or a curl route, and you just dump it and he'll catch the ball 9 out of 10 times. Kincaid's a really good player, by the way. Like I said, separation, catching traffic. He's got all of that. And as a tight end, that's very, very good to have. Moving on. At number 17, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting cornerback Joey Porter from Penn State. Now, before I even get into my notes, the disrespect I have been seeing on this... Did it not? There you go. The disrespect I've been seeing on Joey Porter is disgusting. Okay, people are saying it's Witherspoon Gonzalez, and then they have like 3 other corners before they even have Porter. No, this guy's a freaking animal and a beast. It should be a hell of a pick for the Steelers, and I'll give you kind of a reason why. Porter isn't like the other 2 corners in this draft, but he's still really good. And if he drops down to number 17, pair him up with Patrick Peterson. Peterson's a little bit older, so to put a young player like Porter to play with Peterson and learn from him will be a hell of a duo for the Steelers to have. Little short and sweet notes, but Porter, great player. I've seen disrespect on this guy's name. He did pretty good in the combine, and I've seen some of his tape. Very good. I think he'll be one of the best players to come out of the draft, and I think the Steelers get him hell of a steal. So, Joey Porter, get yourself in a Steelers uniform. Moving on, at number 18, I have the Detroit Lions selecting edge, Nolan Smith from Georgia. Nolan Smith, I think would be a good fit for Detroit. I really do. I think he brings what Detroit kind of looks for in an edge, and I think he'll be paired up pretty well with Aiden Hutchinson. I say that in my notes. Let me get into it. With Detroit going defense with the first pick, I can definitely see them coming back again, going back to defense and taking an edge in Nolan Smith. I think their offense will be totally okay by themselves, and they can definitely figure out some stuff throughout the season. But for the defensive side of things, they definitely need to buff it up. I think Nolan Smith playing with Aiden Hutchinson would be a dream come true for that Detroit Lions defense. And I stand by that. I think it will be a dream come true. You have, first of all, you have Jeff Okudah, right?
The brand new Lions have made a trade with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have traded a 5th-round pick that they got from Jacksonville in the Calvin Ridley trade, if you do recall, to Detroit for Jeff Okudah, if you do remember, 3rd overall pick out of Ohio State.
Moving on, at number 19 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting cornerback Deonte Banks out of Maryland. Yeah. People see them going quarterback here with Tommy B leaving town. I don't. I'll tell you why. A lot of people have been saying that Tampa might go quarterback here. Realistically, I don't see them taking a QB at number 19. I think Baker Mayfield can do it just as well, and they also have Trask, which has been playing under Brady for a couple of years. I think that they should get somebody for the defensive side of things, and especially the corner position. If you don't remember last year, they had a lot of injuries in that position, and it kind of screwed them later on in the year. So getting a corner like Deonte Banks after re-signing Jamal Dean will be really good for Tampa. Like I said, the offense figured their stuff out. They've done good already, and like I said, give hate to all you want to Baker Mayfield, but the guy is actually a decent quarterback. He's really the only quarterback that's done anything for Cleveland in the last more than a decade, and he came into LA, proved that he could win games, proved that he knew the system, proved that he cared, and now he's going to be in Tampa. I don't see why you get a quarterback. Maybe later on in the draft you get one, but in the first round, I think it's a waste of a pick. You get Deonte Banks, put him beside Jamal Dean, put him in the corner position, and help out the defense. Simple as that to me. Moving on. Number 20 of the Seattle Seahawks taking wide receiver Quentin Johnston from TCU. He's right down here. We sent him off to Seattle, and not much to really say about him other than what's in my notes, so I'll just get right into it. With Seattle taking a defensive player in the first pick of the draft, I got to pick a receiver in the second pick for them in the draft. I think Quentin Johnston will be a great pairing with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I think him learning under those two players will be essential for his career, and it definitely gives Geno Smith the left to throw to. I know, the O-line needs help. The defense could be a little bit better, but you just brought back Bobby Wagner, Jalen Carter. Really good. Now you bring in Johnston. He plays beside Tyler Lockett, beside DK Metcalf. Put him in the slot. You can even put him in the out and put Lockett in the slot, whatever you want to do. And give Geno Smith more weapons. I mean, we saw what Geno Smith did with almost nobody on the team, so why not give him somebody? Sounds pretty simple to me. I mean, you might disagree, Seattle fans, but I think that's the right choice. Moving on. At number 21, I have the LA Chargers selecting wide receiver Jordan Addison from USC. Now, Addison right here. Put yourself in the Chargers uni, my friend. And yeah, I think it'll be a great pickup for the Chargers. I think that will add another weapon for Herbert, and I think the Chargers definitely do need to look for another receiver. I'll go more into detail in my notes here. Now, I definitely think the Chargers take a receiver here if Seattle goes a different route with their pick. I see the Chargers picking up Quentin Johnston. But if Johnston does go to Seattle, next best pickup is Jordan Addison from USC. Justin Herbert needs another weapon beside Keenan Allen, and even though Jordan Addison didn't do himself any favors in the Combine, I still think he's a great player and he'll fit great in the Chargers system. Which is very true, I do think so. I think Addison's very underrated. I've seen a lot of people now giving him a little bit of crap now because of the Combine and all that, but I still think he's definitely a great player, and he's a game changer if he does go to the Chargers. So, yeah. That being said, moving on with the number 22 pick in the draft, I had the Baltimore Ravens selecting wide receiver Zay Flowers out of Boston College, which he should be down right about here. Put him in a Baltimore Ravens uni. Now, the whole Lamar Jackson thing is coming out now, and it's kind of tough to dictate what's going to happen in the future with Lamar and the team. But I think Lamar either is going to stay or he's just going to sit out. Regardless, I think you get a receiver anyways, even for Tyler Huntley. I'll tell you why. Let's be honest, the Ravens aren't looking too good with the whole Lamar Jackson situation going on, but if you want another reason for Jackson to even stay in Baltimore, you need to get him another weapon besides Mark Andrews, because everybody in the stadium knows that ball is going to Mark Andrews. Hence, you're taking a receiver here. And I think Flowers is actually a really underrated receiver in this draft. I can see him even getting picked over Addison, but if other receivers are gone, I definitely think that Ravens should take Zay Flowers right here. Again, underrated receiver by far. I think he actually could go over Addison. I think Quentin Johnston and Njigba are pretty set in where they're going to go. I think it's going to be number 1, number 2. But I think Addison and Zay Flowers can kind of flip-flop around. And I think Flowers is still a great receiver. And wherever he goes, he'll still be really good for whatever team picks him up. So, yeah, it's a good steal for any team right there. And, yeah, moving on. Number 23 pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting quarterback Will Levis from Kentucky. Finally, the quarterback is off the board. I know. What? Minnesota should get a receiver. Minnesota's going to go defense. Minnesota's going to... Let me explain to you why I think Minnesota should go with the QB. Let's go. I know it sounds crazy. I got the Minnesota Vikings taking a quarterback with their first pick in the draft. But let's think about it for a second. The Vikings are so close to progressing in the playoffs, and no offense to Kirk Cousins, but I don't know if he can get them there. At the same time, his contract, I think, is about to be up, so why not get Will Levis, put him behind Kirk Cousins. If you have any doubts in Cousins this year, you can just start him. Or by the next couple of years, he'll be ready to play. You already got weapons in TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson, so why not bank on a new, young, fresh quarterback for the team? Simple as that. Did I make the case clear enough? Will Levis is a beast. He's a very good player. I can see him going to Tampa. I can see him going early on, but I think he's going to Minnesota. I think it'd be a really good pick for Minnesota, you know? I think he goes there, you know? He does. He's going to do good. He's going to do well, and I just saw some of his progress pictures, and man's jacked as hell, so go to Minnesota. I don't think it's a bad pickup at all for the Vikings. I think it'd be really good if he does. Moving on, at number 24, the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting cornerback Cam Smith from South Carolina, baby. Yes, go over there. Yeah, okay, we selected it. South Carolina. You get yourself Cam Smith going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's dive right into it. Let's be honest, I don't think any of us thought Jacksonville would have this far back of a pick this year. However, they do, and I definitely think they go corner, or they should at least. You need somebody now on the corner side to lock down wide receivers, even though they made that huge comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs. It wasn't easy, especially for that side of the ball. Now, I know that Cam Smith shouldn't be the first option to go with, but if with all the other corners already gone in my mock draft, I still think he's a good, safe player to pick, and you can definitely help him develop in the role, especially with your head coach being Doug Peterson. Now, I think Cam Smith's still a really great player. I think people are saying Cam Smith is going to go over Porter. I still think Porter's a better corner than Smith, but Smith is still really good, and I think you take him for Jacksonville here. Moving on to number 25. With the 25th pick, I have the New York Giants selecting cornerback Kelee Ringo out of Georgia. Yeah, another corner. Back-to-back, I see Cam Smith falling to the Giants if Jacksonville passes up, and I see the Giants even picking a receiver. Let's get right why I think Kelee Ringo was a good pick for the Giants. I know the Giants need a receiver. That's almost a guarantee. However, in the division where you got guys like A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, and Terry McLaurin, yeah, New York, you also need a corner, so go ahead and give me Kelee Ringo. Ringo definitely is underrated in this draft, and I think the Giants will not only be getting a good guy with a last name, but will be getting a good, hard-working player as well to help him lock down receivers in the NFC East. So that's my whole reason with Ringo. I think he's got a hell of a good last name. I think he fits in the Giants system. I think he's a good player. Underrated corner, underrated player. I think Giants get a steal if they take him here. With the 26th pick in the draft, I have the Dallas Cowboys selecting defensive lineman Kalijah Kancey out of Pittsburgh. Don't ask me why I did this pick. I'm going to tell you why I think he's going to go here, but at the same time, this could be totally wrong. Let's see. The people who watch me often, which isn't many people, you know I'm a Cowboys fan, and every time I do these drafts, I can never get the pick right. Hell, I can never get the right side of the ball. But for this one, I'm going with the D lineman, Kalijah Kancey from Pittsburgh. If he somehow falls to the 26, we better take this man. He's not the biggest, but people compare him to Aaron Donald. He's a very hard guy to block, very versatile, and very athletic as well as hardworking. If we can grab him and pair him up with our defense with Dan Quinn, I'll be a very happy man. And it's true, I'll be very happy. I know Brian Brees is still up there. I know Brian Brees could probably fall to us and we can pick him up here. But I'll be happy with Kancey, Brees, somebody just really good. At this point, with 26th pick, I think if we get Kancey, it's a huge steal. Like I said, comparisons to Aaron Donald, that's kind of all he needs to kind of be in this draft. And, yeah, moving on. Number 27, I got the Buffalo Bills selecting defensive lineman Brian Brees out of Clemson. So, like I said, Brees was on the board, and now he's off the board. Going straight to Buffalo. And I think Buffalo gets a good pick here. I was kind of torn between two positions. I'll get into it here in my notes, but I think Brian Brees was a good fit for Buffalo. And yeah, let's get into it. I was torn between an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman for Buffalo. However, I do think they're gonna go defense, especially after signing Connor McGovern from Dallas. Brian Brees, if he's still on the board at this point, he'll definitely be a good fit for Buffalo, and a really good player for Buffalo to get in the interior line. He definitely causes a lot of chaos and destruction. He's a very good tackler and will be a great addition for the Bills defense. Again, Brian Brees, very good player. Very, very good player. I'm actually very excited to see what team he goes to, because whatever team he does go to, it's going to be a hell of a difference maker for that defense. Moving on. At number 28, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting safety Brian Branch from Alabama. There he goes, the safety. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are wondering where I had Brian Branch. A lot of people don't even have Brian Branch go in the first. They have people have him go in the second. I've even seen some people have him go in the third, which is crazy to me. Brian Branch is a first-round talent that could drop to the second round, but if he drops all the way down here, Cincinnati pick him up. And I'm going to tell you why you should pick him up. You signed Orlando Brown, but here's the other reasons why you should not take an offensive lineman, and here you take the safety, Brian Branch. I can easily see the Bengals going with an offensive lineman or a tight end on the board in Michael Mayer. However, the Bengals have lost two very important players on the team, and that is safety, Jesse Bates, and safety, Von Bell. So what happens when you lose two key safeties on your team? You replace them with a safety from the draft. And in my opinion, the best safety in the draft, probably the only good pick if you're going to go safety in the draft. Brian Branch from Alabama. Very good hybrid safety, and he can play all over the place. He's good at zone and man coverage if you need him to, but he's a very good zone player. Tracking and good speed as well. I think Branch will definitely help the Bengals defense and the secondary department get back to where they need to get back to. I made my case clear on that one. I think Brian Branch, very good player. I think if the Bengals pass up on him, they're kind of dumb. And you can get offensive lineman in the second round. I know I said it's hard to come by offensive linemen. They are hard to come by, but I think Brian Branch is a pretty good lock, and especially if he falls down to number 28, you take him. Moving on, at number 29, I have the New Orleans Saints via the Denver Broncos selecting tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. Yeah, people might have been wondering where he was going to go because he was actually technically ranked higher here over Kincaid. I can tell you why I got him going to New Orleans. Not too much going on here with the notes or anything about Michael Mayer, but we'll get right into it. Saints could go receiver here, but with top receivers already off the board and Chris Olave and Michael Thomas coming back, I think a good pick here would be a tight end to help boost up the offense and the weapons for Derek Carr. Michael Mayer is a hell of a pickup if the Saints can get him at 29. He's a bigger player, and he's kind of sneaky in his routes. He's definitely more physical than Dalton Kincaid. So for the Saints, it would be a good to add another physical offensive weapon for them. And yeah, simply as that. Like I said, Kincaid is definitely, I think, the better tight end all around. But Mayer, bigger, more physical, athletic, very good, sneaky when he does his route. I only watched a little bit of stuff here and there from Mayer, but I think he's definitely a good player. And I think moving on, number 30th, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting defensive lineman Mazi Smith from Michigan. Yeah, I know there's still a lot of good players on the board, but I got Mazi Smith going off the board to the Eagles. It just sounds like an Eagles pick. It sounds like an Eagles pick. Mazi Smith just sounds like the Eagles would choose him from Michigan. Don't know why. Don't ask me why. That's what it sounds like to me. But here we go into the notes. With the Eagles in my mock draft taking a running back in the first pick, they're going to go to the defense and take an interior defensive lineman, Mazi Smith out of Michigan. Smith isn't the most developed player and not the most athletic player. However, he did bench a lot in the combine with 34 bench reps with 33-inch arms. I think a little bit of help, he can develop into a great player for Philadelphia, and it's only going to help them in the interior after losing some key players. Key players is Javon Hargrave and those type of guys as well. Mazi Smith, I think, would be a really good addition for Philadelphia. This sounds like a Philadelphia pick that they would go with Mazi Smith. I know you still got Forsky out there, and you still got some other player. BJ Ojulari is there as well, which I still think he go in the first round. But Mazi Smith here, number 30 for the Eagles. I think it's a really good pick. I think it's a good steal for them, and I think it fits the Eagles' criteria and their play style. Moving on to the last pick of the draft, with the number 31 pick in the draft, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting offensive tackle Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. Yeah, I know Darnell Wright's right there, but I'm taking Harrison. I'm taking Harrison out of Oklahoma. Let me explain to you why I got him going there. Now, when I started this mock draft, I was going to give the Kansas City Chiefs an edge rusher. However, after remembering that they lost Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley, it's safe to say that they're going to go and take an offensive tackle at pick number 31. And who else but Anton Harrison? Now, Harrison isn't a special athlete. However, he ticked every box in the combine, and his pass protection is unbelievable. I mean, seriously unbelievable. Now, when you're Patrick Mahomes sitting back in the pocket, you're going to love to hear that. I think Kansas City takes a huge steal at pick number 31, getting a great player. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't have Darnell Wright. I think the pass protection from Anton Harrison is immaculate and very, very well. I've watched them and all that stuff. So it looks really good. I think the Chiefs. Yeah, I just think the Chiefs go offensive lineman here, but I think Harrison's the fit for the Chiefs. So yeah, now a new thing I've never done on this channel when I've done I've never done mock drafts on this channel, but a new thing I've never done for mock drafts is my notable mentions. These are the players I think that can go in the first round. I don't have them in the first round, or very early second for sure. But with that being said, let's get into the notable mentions I have. We're just gonna go down player by player. Nothing too special about it. No notes on them, just player by player. Inside offensive lineman Osirius Torrance from Florida. Offensive tackle Darnell Wright from Tennessee. Wide receiver Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. Offensive tackle DeJuan Jones from Ohio State. Cornerback Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State. Linebacker Drew Sanders from Arkansas. Linebacker Trenton Simpson from Clemson. Wide receiver Josh Downs from North Carolina. Edge BJ Ojulari from LSU. And edge Will McDonald IV from Iowa State. Those are all the players I have in notable mentions, going either in the first that I don't have in my mock draft, or very early second. I think all these players are very good steals. I think everybody's good. And like I said, the notable mentions I just mentioned could easily go in the first round. I could actually flip-flop a lot of players that I think. But, you know, this is what I had to do. This is what I had to work with. And it took me so much time to get all these notes, to watch all the footage, and get something together that's going to take me just as long to edit the video. But I hope you guys did enjoy it. My More JDT channel, the second channel. First time I'm doing the mock draft. Every time I do a mock draft, it's going to be on this channel now. It won't be on the main. Like I said, new and more improved things are coming onto the main channel than what I have going on here. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this mock draft. The only one you're going to get, and like I said, I'm recording this a month before the draft starts, so don't give me too much hate on these picks. That's all I got to go on. But yeah, let me know what your mock draft is. You can DM me, you can tweet me, Twitter's in the description down below, or you just comment down below what favorite team you support, and then you can say what pick you want them to go with, and what you think they're going to go with, or something like that. Just leave some comments, tweet me, whatever you guys want to do. Anyways, yeah, that's going to do it for me today. I'll see you when I see ya, and peace.